You're listening to Moon Monkey. On this episode, we're going to be discussing Warcraft: The Beginning, directed by Duncan Jones.
So it's based off of Warcraft, the video game, and the basic idea of the movie is the orc world of Draenor is dying. So the orcs head through a portal that connects to Azeroth, that's where most of the human characters of the movie stay. And the head orc, Gul'dan, powers the portal by use of magic known as the Fel, which sucks the life force from not only living creatures but the surrounding area as well. Some orcs think this is a bad thing and they shouldn't really be following Gul'dan. And it's the main orc that disagrees with this is Durotan, who thinks maybe working with the humans to stop Gul'dan might be a good thing and worth giving it a go.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what's going on.
So the director, Duncan Jones, I thought did a great job with this film. He was obviously a big fan of the source material and like the games. If you see him on interviews and things, he obviously knows his stuff. And before this, I think he's only really directed 2 films. His first film, Moon, which was fantastic.
Yeah, we both love that.
With Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
I think Sam Rockwell's the only person in the movie, really. And Kevin Spacey is the computer, is he? That's a great science fiction film. And Source Code with Jake Gyllenhaal he did, which was also pretty well.
I've not seen Source Code, so I don't know. Yeah.
I really like Source Code. It's a really interesting premise. The one thing I thought when I heard that he was directing this was it seems not to fit the pattern that he's going for, which is like really interesting science fiction premises. Like Moon is a very interesting concept, and the same with Source Code. Whereas this seems a much more straightforward story to tell. But I think he did a good job with it. Partly because, like, obviously he knows so much about this world, and he can include a lot of stuff in it for the fans.
I think, like, from watching it, and having watched it with somebody who likes Warcraft as well, that he definitely loves the movie.
Yeah, we should say that, like, neither of us know very much about Warcraft at all. We haven't played the games. Or read any other materials around this, so literally, like, our only understanding of this world comes from
this movie,
this one movie. But yeah, we went to see it with our friend David, who does know a lot about it, and I think he got a lot out of it because there were little things included, kind of Easter eggs.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did like, we'll talk about this later maybe, but one of the things I did like is they didn't overplay the fan service to the point where non-fans couldn't get into the film. Or it was like, oh, I've no idea what's going on here. I've actually heard people criticize it and say that was their problem, that it just didn't make any sense to them. But I never felt that at all.
No.
I feel like you could easily follow this if you weren't a fan. You do have to listen carefully at parts to what's happening and the explanations.
That's the same in every movie.
Yeah. This one, because I think the main issue is like there's a lot of names and places, and you have to kind of keep things in mind. But it's pretty easy.
I think there's enough there that like you're saying, we didn't know a huge bunch about Warcraft, but we went and seen it.
But
I found it enjoyable.
I like that they kind of didn't skip certain things, but they would just show you a character, which would mean a lot to a fan. But if you weren't a fan, it doesn't matter. You just think like, okay, there's people there who are blue, or there's some people there whose eyes are glowing. It doesn't matter who they are, as long as you see, like, okay, there's people there, whoever that is.
We talk about who's playing who.
So the cast, we have Travis Fimmel playing King Lothar.
He wasn't a king at the start.
Oh, he wasn't a king at the start. Sorry, spoiler alert. Lothar, who's the main captain. Is he captain or something in the army?
Yeah,
the human army.
He's a warrior. And he's in Vikings. If you like Vikings, you'll recognise him.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, that's a good show, actually. On the from the History Channel.
Yeah.
Paula Patton, who plays Garona. Yeah. Who really had one of the best roles in the film.
Some people would say she was the main character.
The linchpin.
Yeah.
Because she's a half human, half orc, so she bridges the divide between them.
Which apparently is a bit of a change from the games, but we know nothing about that.
Yeah. But it worked in the film. Like,
the context of the movie, I saw Duncan Jones talk about it, and in the context of the movie, it made more sense that she was half orc and half human.
You totally got her character. Yeah. She was really good and had some really good scenes, and that kind of elevated the movie up above a standard fantasy action quest, because it was, there's a little bit of heart there, a little bit of soul to the movie. Ben Foster, who played Medivh, who was the Guardian.
Yeah.
He had a really good performance. He's generally just like a wizard type character, a warlock.
Yeah, parts of me, I like Ben Foster and the stuff I've seen him in, but and this sometimes I thought he was a bit over the top in his performance.
But that was kind of the style of the film.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not totally
hitting
on Ben Foster. No, I'm not hitting on him in any way.
Toby Kebbell, who played Jurtan, who is one of the first characters we see in the movie, is the first character we see.
For a CGI character, I cared about Jurtan a lot.
He was good.
Yeah.
That was like him and Garona, like all the characters, you kind of got... They basically introduced the film with them, and you get straight into the heart of their worries and their concerns and their lifestyle, so you really like build up a kind of rapport with them before you're introduced to the humans. Daniel Wu, who played Gul'dan. Again, Gul'dan was fantastic. I will maybe talk about the CG later, but like the character designs and things really made it for me. Maybe more so. I mean, the performances were good. It's obviously a motion capture, I think they did for the performances.
So, like, Toby Kebbell was really good. I've already said that, but with Jurtan, just his story, Toby Kebbell really done a good
it's
job.
good voice acting, but really, like, it was the design of characters I really loved in the film, which really made it. And Ben Schnetzer as Khadgar.
He was one of my favourites. Him and Lothar, the two performances, like Travis Fimmel and Ben Schnetzer as Khadgar as well.
He plays like an apprentice magic user, and his goal is to become the guardian of Azeroth and take over from Medivh, Ben Foster's character. But he's at this point he's been cast out of his order, and so he's trying to like work his way back in. But he can still use magic and things. So he was in it. Anyone else, or that's the main?
That's all. I mean, there's loads of other people, but for the main people, nobody really huge that you'd say, oh, I really recognise that face. For me, anyway, it's not like a very.
I have to admit, I didn't recognise anyone.
It's not a really it's not a really star-laden cast, but there is some decent performances in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things you have to understand when you go to see a movie called Warcraft, that it's not going to be not going to be the type of film where there's a lot of acting going on anyway.
Yeah.
Because it really is an action film. Like, the story they put in there, I think people are appreciative of, but a lot of people would have been happy if it had just been big battle scenes and fighting and magic.
But I think, like, you compare it to something that it's maybe trying to be, in a way, like Lord of the Rings, and you look at that cast and you think, there's big names and big personalities and Warcraft, but I mean, it didn't take away from
that was
Warcraft, though.
The thing with Lord of the Rings,
much well-known story.
I don't want to get into Lord of the Rings too much here, but the thing with Lord of the Rings, when they cast it, I think they tried to go for a mix of people who are well-known and people who are known but just for like stage, like Ian McKellen and things. Because originally, there's some rumours about who they wanted casting in Lord of the Rings, like Sean Connery for Gandalf, and they wanted big names for the people, but in a way that detracts from it. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Is even though it's not big names, they can still be powerful. In a way, it makes it better because you're not thinking, oh, there's Sean Connery or there's.
Because when you're introduced to a new world, you want it to be people who you don't recognise. So you think, oh, it is a brand new world.
This is a fantasy world.
If it was a big name actor, you'd think, oh, it's him playing this character. So yeah, the story of the thing I felt was well done because it looked from the trailers and things, it looked as though it was just going to be a clash of two cultures. But I thought there was more going on there. Like we discussed on the orc side, there's a little internal struggle against Gul'dan, who people start to realise his magic's dangerous and damaging the environment, and basically is what led to the destruction of their homeworld in the first place. So they start kind of plotting against him. And on the human side, again, there's a lot of comparisons between the orcs and humans. Because on the human side, they have the Guardian, who's a bit like Gul'dan on the orc side. And again, the Guardian gets too kind of power hungry. And he gets infected with the fell magic.
He's got the fell as well, yeah.
So he kind of turns evil as well. That was the thing, part of the way through it. Yeah, I suppose you could really draw comparisons with any war that's ever been fought. But for me, it was obviously the Second World War is a big one. Anything, really any conflict where there was two huge sides that were clashing, you could apply it to this story, or you could apply this story to it and say, oh, I can see how this character is kind of like this person, or how there's an internal thing. But I did like the idea, because to me, like, the orcs are generally like the bad guys, so it's like, oh, they're like the Nazi side. But there's an internal faction who realize, like, yeah, what we're doing is not good, and it's destructive, and we need to, like, stop that, because we realize, like, we're on the wrong side here. We're destroying everything.
Yeah.
And the humans, I mean, the humans didn't have too much kind of moral.
The human characters were pretty
flat.
Yeah, they were pretty bereft of anything interesting going on. There was a little bit. I mean, I did think from the human's point of view, I liked Lothar, and he had this thing with his son and his kind of family. His sister's the queen.
Yeah,
there was that kind of side of it. But as far as like
there wasn't too much grey.
The other humans were just kind of, oh, the humans are there.
I think people have been spoiled a little bit by things like Game of Thrones, where like there are so many grey characters. Whereas now, when you see something like a more traditional fantasy, where it's very much almost a black and white struggle,
so it's a binary kind of thing.
Yeah, you kind of think, oh, I wish there was more depth, or I wish they had something going on, an internal struggle.
Like this movie hasn't had a lot of good reviews. I think it's fair to say. There's been a lot of... There's been a lot
most of the critics hate it.
Yeah, critically it's not had a lot of good ones. But I think theme-wise, underlying stuff, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
I don't understand, like some of the bad reviews, and even I've seen people who are not, like, critics talk about what they didn't like about it. And a lot of the criticisms, for me, personally, I don't think they're that valid. Like, I really had a good time at the film.
Well, I think we were going in with open kind of mind because we didn't know much about Warcraft.
Yeah.
And we're just going to see a movie, and we liked Moon.
Yeah.
And we knew it wasn't going to be Moon, but...
If you go in expecting, like, a kind of fun movie, then that's what this is. Don't go in expecting anything that's going to be, like, change your life or make you re-examine things. Because even, like, we talked about Garona. I love the character of Garona because it's like she's between the orcs and the humans. And she ends up... little spoilers for the end, but she ends up fighting with the humans, but then at the end something happens and she goes back to the orcs. But even then it's very much like by the numbers. It's not like... There are a few unexpected deaths in this thing, but...
Yeah, a lot of characters die.
Yeah, it's nothing that, like, I don't think you would have seen before.
But I think, like, if you're looking closely at it, you can see, like, just uniting through differences and stuff with against Gul'dan, like the humans and some of the orcs unite against him, even though they're very different people, and also finding peace. And I've saw, like, some interviews and read some interviews where they've said, like, it's kind of almost talking about refugee crisis with the orcs coming through.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they had to leave because there's nothing for them.
Because their home world's destroyed.
Yeah. So there's some interesting things within it that you could say, oh, it's a fantasy movie, but it's doing some commentary as well.
Yeah. But for me, it was... I don't know. This is maybe not even a valid criticism, but with Garona, the thing with the elves and the humans, there seemed to be a racial element to it. Like, they're green, and the humans... All the human races have come together at this point. So it's humans versus orcs. But you can kind of see a racial thing of, we're humans and you're the green people.
It's just somebody that's different.
Yeah. But for me, it's like the message of the film was a very simple message. It wasn't that complex. It was easy to understand, like, okay, racism's really bad. Or like, okay, what's happened to the orcs, the refugee thing, that's really bad. There was no complexity there where you feel like, oh, there's, like, it's bad, but there was no, like, other side of the story, if you like. But yeah, overall, the story did its job well. And also, I was surprised, it got through a lot of information pretty succinctly. Like we were saying, you sometimes see characters which would mean a lot to fans, but for people who don't know about it, they don't take a lot of time out to explain this race of people, or where are these from.
You're pretty much thrown straight into it, and you don't need a lot of explanation because it's there.
Like, even at the start, like, you see the blue people in the cages, they're having the life force sucked out. You don't know who they are. Fans of the game would be like, oh, it's those people. But if you haven't seen it, all you have to know is, like, okay, they're obviously slaves in that world. Yeah. You don't really need to know their names or who they are. And that's one thing that I really liked, that it got through a lot in a short space of time.
What I liked about it as a fantasy movie, it works really well for me, and it's got a lot of cool action scenes. There's a lot of cool overheads as well, like you're moving around the map, and
Oh yeah, I like that. Setup.
and you see the burning villages from above, and you see the kind of
Because this is based on like the first Warcraft game, which was a like real time strategy game, Command and Conquer style game. So yeah, I think that's emulating that's what that game looks like. But I thought that was kind of a fun thing for games.
I like that. I thought that was really cool bit for me. The orcs, when the humans and the orcs first meet in the forest, and there was that first battle scene. That really, for me, was just like, oh, that's Lord of the Rings. That's really like, oh, this is what we're kind of aiming for.
Yeah,
like that kind of world. I thought it was a nice kind of nod to it anyway. But
it was really brutal. I think also with the amount of deaths in it, again, it's evoking the sense of a video game, but usually that would be a negative. Like, I know a lot of people, when they saw the Hobbit movies, the end of the first one specifically, a lot of people said it's like a video game. It's like you're watching a video game. But in that case, it was an insult, because The Hobbit is obviously a book which is considered a literary classic. But in this one, when I say it's like a video game, it's not an insult. It means like it's fun and exciting, because anyone could die.
It's going back to the source material.
Yeah, but a lot of people die, and usually that would be a negative, because you think it's stupid. Like, they're killing so many people, and it's ridiculous. But in this, it feels like, oh, it's fun and exciting and new.
I really like the orc family as well. And the orc, you got to see the orc point of view as well.
Yeah,
which was interesting. I wasn't really expecting that. Well, from the trailer, I'd seen the trailer, and you're kind of thinking, oh, it's going to be a bit, but you get really into the kind of family of Durotan and his wife and their child as well.
Yeah,
you kind of feel for them, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, you kind of see their point of view.
Yeah.
Like I say, I mean, at the end of the day, they are still the bad guys pretty much, because most of the orc clans seem pretty horrible. Yeah. It's only really him and a few people that follow him that are good, but they did at least kind of add that in.
The performances of I like Lothar and Khadgar. I think I've said that already, but those two guys did some good performances, and as did the Toby Kebbell with Durotan, and also Paula Patton as Grona.
Yeah.
But just the aspect of seeing Lothar and his son and their relationship, but you've also got Durotan, who's working with the humans really for his son as well.
Yeah.
So they're both doing it for their...
That's the thing, that a lot of comparisons, and the film was like purposely, I think, drawing you to like, look, they're enemies, but they're not so different. Like, that's what I mean. It was a simple message, and it's been done before, but it works, and it's kind of good for this film.
If we're talking about little Easter eggs, I don't know this because I've not played the movie, but I saw
the game.
I've not played the movie or the game. I wasn't involved in the movie, but there's a scene with Khadgar, and he's involved in a fight, and at the end of it he glows, and apparently that's just like he's leveling up.
Yeah. Someone said that.
I think that's a nice little thing. That's going to be a cool...
I think there are a few things like that. Like, people have said the colour of the magic that they use as well is some reference to like different things you can do in the game. The bit that like made it... There weren't that many jokes in the film, but the bit when the guy got turned into a sheep...
Yeah,
again, a reference to the spell that's in the game,
which is funny anyway. But if you obviously play the game a lot, that's going to be even more.
Yeah, it seemed a little out of place because you hadn't seen anything happen like that previously in the film, really. But then it was just like a kind of throwaway joke, I guess. Yeah. The CG in the film, if we're talking about positives for the film, I thought the CG was really good. People have complained and said it doesn't look realistic, but the one thing I liked about it is with the special effects, they really tried to put in a lot of details.
Yeah.
So like when you see the orcs, they have on a lot of chains and rings and their hair done, and you really get the sense of like a tribal culture, and they have a lot of accoutrements attached to them and weapons, and that's what I liked, because every time they were on screen, your eyes are so busy trying to pick out like the different things and think, oh, is that's that tribe, or do they have a certain thing? And
sometimes it does get slightly confusing with the orcs.
But they made each one like different.
Some of them are different, but sometimes I was sitting going, "Oh, is that guy? Or is that guy?" I mean, Durotan. I'm not knocking Durotan.
Yeah,
he stood out to me. But like some of them, I was like, "Is that one that's on our side?"
Well, they basically made Durotan stand out and Gul'dan, and there was another guy who was like Durotan's rival, who was the head of one of the bigger factions.
There was Black Hand, and there was a guy with a hammer.
Yeah,
there was some that I was struggling with at some points, but yeah, there's a lot of detail on them.
Yeah, there was so many of them.
Yeah, there's
so many clans and tribes. So yeah, that would be one of the positives.
For me, it's a positive and a negative because I did think there was a lot of CGI. There was a lot, and it was very impressive, but it looked amazing. There was some great shots. There's a bit where is he on a griffin or something? I don't know what he's on. He's on some kind of.
Yeah, it is a griffin.
Is it a griffin? Yeah, he's on that, and he's heading down into the orc army, and it's a really cool shot. There's a lot of good bits with the CGI, and some of the places they go, like
there's all
cities floating about and stuff. It looks really cool. I like a lot of the overhead map stuff as well.
The thing was, I totally understand why they did it, because with a film like this on this scale and with all these locations,
not the way you could do it.
Well, they could have done miniatures. But my thing was, I don't know if they knew that this film was going to be as big a success. Like with Lord of the Rings, I think they knew with the audience for the books that it was going to be pretty successful, so they could invest a lot of money in doing miniature work and all kinds of stuff. Whereas this, I think you have to hedge your bets and say, yeah, we'll do it CG, and that way if, like, I don't know, if 100 people go see this in China, we haven't lost too much. Like, if nobody goes to see it. Like, but, like you say, there were parts. The only thing that I didn't like was when like circles appeared when they were doing magic, which is like obviously a thing from the video game. But I just thought it looked silly in a film because why would that happen?
That didn't bother me because I was like, "It's magic."
So yeah, positives. Easy to get into for non-fans. Pretty good CG and kind of detailed, I guess.
I mean, it's impressive CG. For me, the good points, good fantasy movie. It's got a simple kind of thing going on, simple kind of plot with the portal, it might be the Stargate,
the
stuff like that. You know, and there's little nods, and you get the orc point of view, and I think there is some underlying themes as well. It's not just a bit as simple as it is on the
Well, there's a lot of things
stuff
like
underneath.
You could take your own things to it.
But I do think there is stuff there as well. It's not just like you can put in what you want. I do think there is other stuff going on there. What about anything really bad that you didn't like?
The negative points. The one thing that I was worried about seeing it was whether it just looked like people in cosplay, which at some points I felt like it did, because it really is that kind of fantasy where it's over the top. And the armour that they're wearing is like huge shoulder pads and ridiculous like weapons.
I thought that were really pretty impressive.
And like orcs carrying like war hammers, which are like the size of the hammers, like 4 times the size of someone's head. It was stuff like that. In a sense, just think, that just looks like someone's drawn a picture and literally brought it to life. It's not very realistic, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. But
you're used to much smaller orcs in reality.
Well, it's always the problem with fantasy films, because obviously they are creating this stuff, and it's like when you saw the guy's like throne with the lions next to it, sometimes it looked fake, and then sometimes it looks okay. Like, you know, that kind of, it looks plasticky or not real. It, like, a lot of times in fantasy, like, they go to such lengths to try and get the armour and the, like, leather armour and ring mail and stuff to look realistic. Whereas in this, I don't think they worried too much, because they kind of thought, it's meant to be a little over the top. But
I do think, it was meant to be like, over the top, because it was.
But that was the only thing to me. It kind of, sometimes there were scenes where people were just looked as though, we're play acting this. Like, you're not really in the movie, you're just watching people play out a scene from the video game, if you like.
The only bad things for me, the CGI was good and bad. There was a lot of good points about the CGI, because it looked really impressive. I'm not knocking it, because I don't really see another way you could have done the stuff they did without it.
Well, it's like the Griffin, I mean, like, there are other ways to do it, but probably more difficult and time-consuming than just do a CGI Griffin.
I think also we could add more about some of the characters, especially on the human side, which we didn't really get. But I think setup-wise, it's a good setup. I mean, they have called it Warcraft the Beginning, so I mean, you'd obviously hope. And I would see a sequel because I did think it was good enough.
They could have done more with the humans, but again, we don't know. That could be exactly what their characters are like in the game. So that's maybe what they're emulating.
We're looking at it from a movie point of view, and he's changed things from the game to suit the movie. So it could have changed. I think
maybe what they felt was they did a good job with the orcs. I think they maybe felt like you're going to sympathise with the humans anyway, so we don't need to do too much work there. You'll automatically feel like, oh, they're humans, I'm human.
I just think from a movie standpoint, we could add slightly more. But I do think Lothar was really good, and Lothar had a good story.
Like I said, there was a lot in there, and they did kind of spend time on Garona's character and Durtan's character. But that's the thing, the more stuff you put in, the more bloated it would get. Yeah. And the film really clicked along pretty quickly, I felt. Like, there was never a point where you're like, oh, I'm waiting for something to happen. Helped along by the fact that he could apparate, he could appear and disappear in different places, which helps speed things up.
The other thing I would say is that, for negative, is you're hinted at this whole world. Like, you've got the dwarves and the elves and stuff. You see them throughout. Little snippets of them. You've got this whole world that you don't get to see, and you're kind of like, oh, I'd maybe like to see more of that. But obviously, if it's based on the first game and he's going for that, then I can understand that. But from a movie point of view, and we don't know about the game, so that's just me personally. I would think, oh, maybe see slightly more.
You see dwarves in it, and you see elves in it.
You got a big kick out of someone saying boomstick.
Oh yeah, boomstick at the very beginning of the film. I believe that's a reference to something in the game as well, but it just made me laugh because they had guns in like a fantasy world, but obviously that's from the game as well. But yeah, I think with that, like you were saying about a sequel, I think they are planning to do more movies. Obviously this is called The Beginning. I think the next movie they're going to do is going to tell the story of the young baby that they sent down the river. He's going to be grown up, which I'm really interested to see that, because not a lot of movies, maybe The Godfather Part 3, there's not a lot of movie series where it's like you jump forward like 17, 20 years. Usually a trilogy will be like, it's continuous, like it just carries on. Even like the Star Wars, it's kind of, it's like the next year or something, each new movie. Oh, except for like, I suppose when you see like the new trilogy, you've jumped forward in time. But there's not really like, within a trilogy, they don't do like big time leaps. I can't think in things.
Probably do, but we can't think of any. I do think Star Wars kind of leaps about slightly, but...
Oh yeah, but like between, like you have the original trilogy. Oh no, I suppose between like 1 and 2. Between 1 and 2, but not in the original trilogy. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what they do with the second movie. And I think that was the reason why you have dwarves and elves in this, because if they suddenly appeared in the next one, you would think, oh,
where did they come from?
You never showed those in the film. But at least if you've shown them and like, these are here, so we might use them more in the next film, just like to introduce you to them, because otherwise it would be a bit out of place.
But overall, what are your feelings? Would you recommend this?
Yeah, overall I would definitely recommend this movie. Like you say, critics are really panning it, but I think most people who've been to see it, who are fans of the game or fans of fantasy, have had a good time at it and enjoyed it. So I would definitely recommend people. I think you could have a good time in it.
I would say if I looked at it, it's got a 12 rating, and I think if I was 12, I would have loved this movie, because it's just it's got an easy enough story to follow, and it's got characters you can get into, and it's got a good fantasy movie setting. And I think if you've got kids or nieces or nephews, then this would be a good movie to go to if you're looking for something. There is some violent moments. I mean, if you're not really into that, but
the kids love that. Kids love a bit of violence.
Yeah,
not towards themselves.
But I think it's a really good movie. If you're thinking about something like that, then I would recommend this. And
it's got some really good knockabout fantasy movie.
It's got some really cool scenes in it too.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe, and tune in next time when we're going to be discussing Independence Day.
The old one or the new one?
The old one.
The old one. Don't forget, as well as being able to find us on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, you can now find us on Podomatic and iTunes as well.